Hey guys, welcome back to our weekly live event. This week we're going to be talking about lease renewals and how and what and why you should do certain things before your tenants renew their lease. What's up, guys? Good to see everybody again. On YouTube, I haven't been on for a minute, but on IG was a couple of days ago. I actually went live, so I'm happy to be back to help you guys. Um, Excited, lots of great things coming, and just kind of preparing everything for all the good things coming to the market. All the good deals are going to be coming, and basically today's live event is about preparing for your lease renewals and what you should do and why. I'm going to give it 1 minute, let everyone join our live event, and at that point, I'll be going through some points regarding lease renewals. So Shane, so Jaro, good to see everybody again. And I plug in here. Renewals. All right, so today's event is lease renewals and what should I do? How should I handle them? Hey, what's up, Rostam? Hey, what's up, Dr. G? Well, thanks, Dr. G. That's why I'm looking lean, because you guys need to follow Dr. G. He's really good. He's my chiropractor. He also helps me with my diet and my recovery. As you guys know, I do competitive powerlifting. I do Wing Chun Kung Fu. I'm doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu now and just trying to get myself in order. And then eventually I'm going to start doing Muay Thai as well. So let's get things going. Today's live is regarding lease renewals. I said it 5 times right now. So some points you need to know is that you've bought a property, there's currently a tenant in the property, and they have a lease. The lease is coming to renew. What should you do? At this point, what you want to do is make sure you're reviewing the lease, because when you're buying the property, most of the time you have to accept the current lease. And if the current lease is acceptable, that's fine. You can renew in a short couple steps. If you don't like their current lease, this is the point in time where you can give them a new lease and tell them, hey, if you want another 12 months, you have to sign my lease. And I have some things on my lease regarding late fees and additional rent charges, certain things they're not allowed to do on the property, certain fines and fees you have to pay if they do certain things. So some of the things that I make sure to avoid: smoking inside the unit. That will cause you a ton of money to fix this property up and get it ready for the next tenant. I do allow pets in my units, but there must be a pet deposit, and they have to clean up after their pet inside and outside of the property. They cannot leave any doo-doo anywhere. If they do, there's a $300 fee. Now, I'm going to change it to no smoking on the property whatsoever, because it's really turning off certain tenants, and it makes it a lot harder to maintain the property. So even though you're giving up some clients that would live in your property, some of the residents, the amount of money you're going to save in maintenance and cleanliness of the property, I believe it's going to make up for it. So in the lease, I put in there that the rent is due on the 3rd. And if they don't pay by the 3rd, they have additional rent charges. I call it additional rent for a reason, because if you call it a late fee in Florida, you cannot ask for that money during the initial steps of the eviction. But if it's called additional rent, because they have additional rent for not paying on time, you can sue for that in the initial steps of your eviction. So this makes it easier and less things to trip on. What I'm really trying to do is avoid things for me. I'm trying to avoid things that will trip me up, that will cause the eviction process to go slower. I want it to go as fast as possible. Now, I love working with people that have been working with me. I'll give you a story. This guy, JR, great guy, hardworking Christian guy, lived with me for about maybe 3 or 4 years, then lost his job, couldn't pay his rent for 2 months. And I worked with him. I said, JR, you always take care of the place. You always keep the place clean. I understand. Just pay what you can, and we're going to get you back. And then he got a job. He got his life back in order. And then again, another 4 years, something else happened. He had a car accident. Then he wasn't able to work because he was hurt. And then it took him a couple of months to get back on his feet again, another 2 months. After the 2 months, he got everything back in order, paid up all the money that was due, and everything was straight. And I'm very happy to be able to help people that are hardworking, blue collar, that just need sometimes help once in a while, And thank God, I'm very happy that I did help him, because actually about a month later, he actually passed away in his sleep. So just a crazy situation. He was a hardworking guy. He took care of himself, but just in his sleep, he just passed. So I was really happy that I was able to help him. And it's really important to be good, that we're in a position of power, so we want to help people. Now, where I'm a little more strict, and being a landlord is being like a strong dad, a very firm dad, father figure. So when you're being a firm father figure, you have established rules. And if someone's not paying their rent, when they just move in and they immediately don't pay their rent, that's already a bad sign. So you need to be very strong to make sure that you're holding to the lease. And if someone's not paid when it's due, you must give them the 3-day notice. Now, this applies to Florida law, and you need to consult your attorney on how you would handle evictions. I'm just giving you my process and how we do things. So again, consult your attorney on how you guys should handle it. So normally we give them a 3-day letter right away. You don't pay by the 3rd, immediately you get the 3-day letter the next day. So by the 4th or the 5th, we're mailing out the 3-day letter. This is to establish a expectation that we are monitoring what's going on, and we expect to get paid. Now, it is really important that you do actually collect on your additional rent charges, your late fees, because every time that my property manager, because I have a property manager in-house, is doing this, she's spending time. I'm paying her by the hour to do this work. So if I have to stop for John every single month and send him a notice out every single month, and I have to pay her extra, right? This is not like part of the rent I'm collecting. I'm putting in special money to make sure I could pay someone to send him out a notice. No, I need her to focus on other things. So if she has to stop and focus on John's stuff, I'm going to send John a notice that he didn't pay on time. And the money I'm collecting is not profit. It's really only reimbursing her time. Okay? So, in addition to that, we're doing the additional rent charges. We make sure to collect a security deposit for animals. We charge a $300 security deposit for animals, in addition to the standard security deposit we collect for anyone that moves in. And normally I collect 1 month's rent as a security deposit. So if it's $1,200, I collect $1,200 as a security deposit, plus another $300 for the animal. So I'm collecting $1,500. So when we have that, we're in a secure place. Now, let's say someone has bad credit or doesn't make enough money to comfortably afford the property. I'll still give them a chance to move in. And even if someone has an eviction on the record, I'll still give them a chance to move in. But normally what I do is I collect another deposit. Because you don't make certain guidelines, then you're going to need another deposit. So this other deposit is additional money I collect. And sometimes I collect first, last, and security. Just again, the more money I have, excuse me, the more likely the person's going to pay their bills on time. And if they don't, you actually have last month's rent and you have a security deposit to make up for the rent and to fix the property up. Because when you're paying eviction costs, in Florida, it's not that bad. It's roughly about $400 with my attorney fees about $550. So it's not bad compared to like LA, which is like $5,000 or something crazy. I've heard some sides like $25,000. So it's really great to have it more affordable in our state. So in addition to that, we want to make sure that we're doing everything according to the law. So we make sure we spell everything out clearly in our lease. If someone clogs up the toilet, there's a $100 fee for that, and they have to pay the company to do that. We're not covering, we only cover things that are broken, that it just broke because it was just time for it to break. But if the tenant actually clogs the toilet because they flush something down that they're not supposed to, like in our lease it says no baby wipes, no feminine products, none of that stuff. So if they do flush that down, they actually have to pay the cost to get it unclogged. What else? IG's acting up. So, what else? All right, so now you have a decent lease, you have it signed, but now it's coming to renew. You're 90 days out. You would normally have to give a tenant the lease renewal / rent increase. You can give them a lease renewal whenever you want. In Florida, at the end of the 12 months, it goes automatically to a month-to-month lease. So you're good. You can evict them anytime they want. They can basically leave anytime they want. They just have to give you 30-day notice. Just have to give you 30-day notice. Now, if you want to raise the rent, you have to give them at least 60 days. So normally with us, when we're 90 days out on the renewal, right? 3 months left before they're going to renew, we give them the notice to say, hey, if you want to renew, this is your increased rent amount. And if you want to go month to month, this is the even higher rent amount. So if they do go month to month, because of that risk that they could leave whenever they basically want, we need to collect an extra charge. Or you could renew for 12 months and this is the new rent amount. It's $50 higher than the last year's amount. So in that scenario, you receive extra money for the risk of not guaranteeing a tenant, or you are locking in the tenant for a higher amount if you think a higher amount is justified for that area. Now, that is normally what I do is just give them a single sheet. It basically says, it's a lease extension. It says everything in your lease continues except we're extending the lease for 1 year and your new rent amount is this much money. If you go month to month, it's this much money. So I keep it very basic because I'm already happy with my original lease. It covers if they put anything down the toilet or plumbing that they shouldn't, that they have to cover that cost if they make that mistake. They have to clean up after their pets. They can't smoke. There's no satellites on my roof. That is like, in Florida especially, it rains a lot. They literally put screws in your roof. That screws it up. No, you want a satellite? I'll allow it on the side of the building or on the ground. Now, thank God, most satellites now are on the ground. They don't put them on roofs anymore. So that is a lot of the information. Now, a good question that Daniel just brought up, he says, what do you do with the deposit? Invest or just save it? It is extremely important. This deposit needs to go into an escrow account. Why I say escrow account is because we're not a bank. What is an escrow account? An escrow account is a checking account. Now, a lot of states have this rule. If the landlord takes that money and puts it into an interest-bearing checking account, he must pay interest to the tenant. That's too much work for me. One, no bank's paying me good interest. Two, I might it's just like too much work for me to pay someone else interest on the interest I received, right? Even if it was 1% or 2%, it's like too much work. So I put it into an account that does not bear interest. And you cannot commingle funds. What that means is the money that's in the escrow account that holds people's deposits can only hold deposits. You cannot use that money for whatever you feel like doing. You cannot invest that money because, well, Daniel, if you invest it and you lose their money and they move out and you have to give it back to them, what's going to happen? You lost their money. That's so the law says you're supposed to put it into account, not touch it. Basically, do not commingle funds is what they say. And if you earn interest, you must pay them on the interest. They must get a cut. So to avoid all that, I put it into a checking account that does not bear interest. I hold it for them there. And then when they move out, if they're earning a deposit, if they deserve the deposit back because they kept the place clean, we write them a check to get the money back. So be careful because the business can be easy to pick up after you've been doing it for a few years in the sense of maintenance, but the law, you can make a mistake and you could screw up the legal aspect of the business and then end up having yourself a whole bunch of headaches and legal fees over something so small. So it's important to comply by the rules and understand. That's why it's very important to have a good lawyer. Like when I first started, a good lawyer was very expensive. Now I got connections because of my volume that a good lawyer regarding evictions and tenants and leases is not that expensive for what I think is not expensive. All right, guys. So Isaac says, why not bear interest? Because if I earned interest on that money, though in Florida it says I must pay the tenant interest on their money. So say you give me $1,000 deposit, I take that $1,000 deposit and put it into a CD for the year. Well, the bank pays me 0.5%. I then have to pay the tenant a percentage of interest. Well, it's a lot of work for me to do that. I mean, what am I going to give them? 1%? That's more than what I got. 0.1%? It's just not worth the documentation and all that stuff. That's my personal opinion on that. So everybody on IG, thanks for the hearts. On YouTube, thanks for all the thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Really shows a lot of love. And if you guys are watching this video now, a couple of days later, smash the like button, subscribe, and make sure to send it to your friends because it's a lot of good content. Again, this is all informational purposes, educational purposes. It does not mean all of the things I'm talking about apply in your state. And even if you are in Florida, it doesn't mean it applies in your situation. So do consult your lawyer. All right. IG's acting up. All right. Daniel says, woo, thank you. You're welcome, Daniel. All right. That didn't work out. IG's acting up. What about guns in your properties? You allowed for tenants to have in your property? Well, that's a very gray area because I don't know the extent of if I am allowed to even say they can and cannot have guns. I mean, it's possible that I could say there's no guns allowed on this property, but you must disclose that ahead of time, and you still have to check the legality of that too, because a lot of like Florida and Texas, which are states I really like to invest in, they are very pro-gun. And I don't blame them for it because if you have guns, bad people tend to not want to break into your place. So it could be good either way. And I would say consult your lawyer about how to handle that situation. I have never said no guns, right? I've never said that. It's never really been a problem, thank God. And anyone who really wants a gun, to be honest, like if they created a law saying, you know what, No one's allowed to have guns anymore. Basically, all the honest people that you basically really weren't concerned about from the beginning would be giving up their guns. But the people who are going to do things that are not honest, they're probably not going to give up their guns. Think about it. So if we disarm the honest people, all the people that are left with guns are the dishonest people. It's food for thought. So Dragon says, I started looking into properties. How do I find a property that's undervalued? So how that works is you have to do a lot of assessments to determine what is considered undervalued. Because if it's extremely simple to see that this property is undervalued, it'll be gone within minutes. So you have to find properties that are undervalued that people cannot easily see the value in the property. Normally that comes in terms of a value add deal, and that would require a lot of practice. So normally it will take you probably about 1 solid, maybe even 2 solid years of studying, assessing, and running numbers to truly find a good undervalued deal. Most people I hear take them about 18 months before they find an actual good deal. Abrav says, loved it. Thanks for the great info. You're welcome. Actually, this live event actually was created for Abe. So I hope Abe appreciates it. Abe's been following me a while, asks lots of great questions. He actually owns a 7-unit property in Tampa. He bought one, I think almost not even a year ago. So send me questions, and normally I can't answer it, to be honest with you guys. I'm running like 5 companies, but during these live events, I'll probably bring your question up and answer it so everybody could learn together. All right. What state should I invest in? Personally, I like Florida, Texas, Arizona. They don't have income tax. They're warm, and they're likely places where retired people are going to go. There is 10,000 people turning 65 every day in America. This is a trend that should be going for the next 15 years. That means a lot of people are going to be moving to these warm states. So lots of opportunity. Hugo says, if the lease is up, do you contact the tenant to sign a new one? If they don't want a new lease and want to be month to month, do you let that be, or do you evict a tenant? So Hugo, normally I send them a letter saying, hey, just so you know, the lease is renewing. You got 2 options. Sign a new renewal, and this is your new rent. Say the rent right now is $1,000. Your amount on the new lease will be $1,050. If you don't want that, that is fine. Your month-to-month rent is $1,200. You pick what you want. And at that point, they can notify you that they want to leave, and they have to give you normally at that point you give them the notice 90 days before the renew. At 90 days you can start getting ready to find someone else to move into the place. So or that's going to push them to sign the lease and renew. How about Delaware? So Delaware, I don't believe is much different than Florida, but you do need to contact a lawyer to verify exactly the tiny intricacies within the law, because there is very small deviations in the law, and you want to make sure that you're within. You don't want to cross over. Hugo says, thanks, boss. You're welcome, bro. Abe says, haha, you're awesome. Looking forward to use your guidance and services. You're welcome. Again, hey, Abe, I have insurance. You should be contacting us to do your insurance for your property. We also do the taxes, the bookkeeping, payroll, and mortgages, refinances, purchase money mortgages. So if you're trying to buy a 1 or 4 family property, we'll get you that loan as well. FHA, we do it all. All right. What is the best way to get rid of a problematic tenant? Evict them. I mean, let me start with this. Eviction is obviously the last choice. What you want to do, and I've had many problematic tenants, is You have to be a strong dad or a strong mom. Meaning, if you say this is going to happen, if you do this, you must do it. You can't say, I'm going to do this and then not. I'm going to evict you. If you say I'm going to evict you like 500 times, the words don't mean anything anymore. So don't throw the word around like whatever. But what you should do is make sure you have fees and additional rent charges in your lease. So if they don't comply, you hit them with a notice that they owe this money. And then what you could do is you'd be like, oh, you know what? I have a one-time forgiveness for this issue. But if it happens again, I'm going to charge you. Now, when they understand that you're being serious, they're going to comply or they're going to pay. Now, is everyone going to be perfect? No. But the good news is, let's just say it happens to 9 tenants and 9 tenants pay you. The 10th one is stubborn and doesn't want to do it and is not going to listen and whatever, and now you have to evict them. At least you collected enough in additional rent charges from these other 9 that when you lose that month of rent from the number 10, you didn't actually lose money overall. You actually made enough to cover the expense. Abe says, obviously, my man, I'm surely needing. Let's go. And I'll say, guys, if you have properties for sale, let me know. I'm also buying in Florida. All right, so Loma says, what's the lowest that you've seen a 30-year refi loan for under $450K? Lender credits. The lowest I've seen is 2.675. And again, that was that particular day. There could be days that you can get the 2.5. Now, this is for a primary residence, single family. This is not an investment property, fourplex. Those are also very good rates, but what I've noticed now from different lenders that I'm looking at, they're charging points. You can't even get it without paying points. There is some that I've seen at 3.5, but you got to pay 1 to 2 points just to even get it. Because this is what's happening. Lenders know that an investor is going to refinance their loan if they can get a rate at 3.5 or 3%. Rates right now for investment properties should be about 4%. And they know if they actually sell the loan at 4%, the investor within 6 months or a year is going to refi, and the lender only makes money if you hold the loan 5, 10, 15, 20 years. But if you refi within the year, they didn't even make any money because all they did was pay the broker who sold the loan, and they kept no money out of this deal. It's just basically a waste of time. So they're charging points now to make sure that you buy the loan low enough for them to even be willing to sell it. It's a very unique time because money is so cheap right now in the sense of interest rates are so low that it's just a very crazy situation. But in my opinion, hey, I'm willing to pay 1 or 2 points to get my loan from 5% down to 3.5%. I mean, that's a lot of money. That's $4,500 I'd be saving a year on that loan. So if it costs me $4,500 and I recoup my money within 1 year on the cost of that loan, obviously 100% return on investment is an amazing deal for me. So run your numbers, ask your accountant, and verify that this is going to work for you. But it's pretty much a no-brainer because anytime, in my opinion, if you have your interest rate at least 1% less, it almost always makes sense as long as you're not going to sell the property within a year. You'll be able to recoup your money. Abe says, this is again a great session. All right, Hugo also says, if you have to evict a tenant, do fees come out of the deposit? How do you cover expenses? So initially fees come out of your pocket, and then later you can assess the deposit and then basically take the deposit. But those are basically 2 separate steps. So at the end, do you recoup the cost of your eviction from the security deposit? Yes. But remember, at that point, if you're evicting a tenant, you probably lost a month's rent as well, and you probably have to clean the place up. So the deposit is almost never enough money to even fix the place up, and ignoring the fact that the eviction costs that come out of your pocket and the money that you lost on the rent because you have to pay the loan while there's no one in it. That's why it's so important to have a multi-unit. Because if one person's not paying in a single family home, you lost 100% of your money. Now you're taking money out of your paycheck to pay that loan. But if you have a fourplex and one person's not paying out of the four, you're only breaking even. And if you bought the deal right, you can actually have two tenants not paying and still break even. Like right now, I have a roughly about 50, 55% coverage ratio, meaning I can lose, God forbid, but God forbid I did lose 40, 45% of my tenants, I would still break even. So it's really important to run your numbers that way, but you can be super aggressive to be like, I'm going to put the bare minimum down on this property. Well, maybe that's not what you want to do because of the risk level. The risk level could be, if you could probably do that if you're going to like rehab the property, then refinance into a debt and then make the payment lower. So you're back into a conservative coverage ratio. But if your long-term play is I have almost no profit or very thin profit, then it's a very aggressive way to be. And if anything bad happens, and to be honest with you, bad things happen all the time. So you got to prepare for them to happen. I'm prepared for a lot of bad things to happen. That's why it doesn't bother me. But if you're not prepared, you're going to be constantly taking money out of your own pocket to cover the expenses of the business. And remember, you have to put money aside and have the money to cover expenses like roof, water heater, AC units. Those are expensive. I just changed AC units this year on that new project that I bought. I spent $46,000 on roofs. I spent $60,000 on AC units. I spent over $60,000 on electrical. Like obviously these things add up. My gas water heaters cost me like $11,000 for, again, I got premium quality ones, and there's a long explanation why, but it worked out. But I had the money to cover it so I could save money later. All right, let's get some more questions answered. Hey, what's up, Celia? All right. Anna says, if I already have a property, what is usually the percent of the second property? So I'm assuming you're saying what is the percent down you need to put? You would need to put down usually 20% down for the second property. All right, that's not working. Basketball. That was my nickname in middle school. If I buy a house with a conventional loan, can I move the property to an LLC after the closing on the house? So Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac usually offer the best rates. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac usually offer the best rates, and they usually require the least amount of money down. So let's just say you tell the bank, or you tell me, the broker, Pascal, I want to buy an investment property. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to live in this place. I'm just going to rent it out. I said, okay, that's fine. You'll probably need about 20% down. And Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac will give you the loan for it because they want to give loans for investment properties, rental properties, so there is properties for people to live in. The government wants there to be housing for people to live in. It's something that they encourage. So don't think this business is hard. The government wants you to do it because they need people to be fixing up old properties, making them livable so they can have housing for people. Now, say you do that. Some people, so most of the time, actually all the time, when you get the loan needs to be in your personal name. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac require the loan to be in your personal name. That's why many people will ask, well, Pascal, how do I put the property in an LLC? Because I read all this stuff that it should be in an LLC. Part one, when I owned 23 units when I was 23, all of them were in my personal name. Some people say, do you think that's risky? No, I do not think that's risky because if you have good insurance, the insurance will cover this. Now, if you have bad insurance, yeah, it's risky. But even if you have them in LLCs, you better have good insurance. Because what does that change? The LLC, this is what the LLC does. If all your properties are in one under your name, all these houses, look at these little cute houses. So adorable. You know what's not adorable? When someone takes them all from you. So what someone does, what you can do if they're all in your name, is just get insurance. And that's why I got into the insurance game, because I own so many properties. I was like, I know more about insurance than these agents do. Let me open a company. I'll do a better job than they did. And I did, and I became top in the country. So insurance is going to protect you. Now, what does an LLC do? Let's ignore the tax side of why you need to create an LLC and create a 1065. Let's ignore the tax side. Let's only look at the liability side. If you create an LLC, basically, you're carving off certain sections. So if you look at it like this is your head, and this is your arms. Okay, my guy's not fat. He's just really bloated right now. And let's just say there's a house here, 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 here. So let's just say someone got hurt on this property, and the insurance was for $300,000. But somehow someone died on your property, so you owe $1 million. In this scenario, the LLC, the limited liability company, should limit you if you did it right, and that's why you have to make sure you have your accountant or your lawyer check it to make sure you did it right, or have them do it for you. In this scenario that someone died and you owe $1 million, what happens is the LLC is this right here. This gets cut off. You amputate the arm. What does that mean? If you amputate your arm, you lost your arm. You amputate that arm, you lost that property. You lost all the money in that property, LLC's checking account. You lost all that. But what happened is you cut off your arm and you saved your body. Everything else is saved. And that is the concept of the LLC, if done properly. That you only lost an arm, you didn't lose everything. That is what the LLC does. But if you have insurance, like I have 300,000, I have actually 3 or 4 levels of insurance on my stuff. And I'm an insurance agent, so I know how to do it. And it doesn't cost me that much money. So to get all this extra insurance, I got like an extra $1 million on everything I have. It cost me like $800 a year. I mean, for all those units, it's not a lot of money. I mean, it's not as much that people act like, bro, you can have $1 million of insurance for all of my units for $800. Like if you guys did it and you only had a 4-plex, it would be $300 a year. $300 a year for you to get $1 million of extra coverage on your place. It's a no-brainer. Why do you need an LLC? But there's other reasons why you can use an LLC, and that's for another day. But the point is, this is a way to work around it. Now, to Bob's question, if I get the conventional loan, and what he's asking is, if I get the conventional loan in my name, can I switch it to an LLC after the loan closes? So after the loan closes, normally within 3 months, it's sold to someone else. So if you close a loan with me, I'm going to finish the loan for you. XYZ company is going to write the loan. And then Wells Fargo is going to buy the loan from XYZ company. And now Wells Fargo is servicing that loan. As long as when you bought the loan, you made sure that the broker checked in the underwriting that says you can switch the property into LLC, then you can switch the property to an LLC. So I just did one of those loans for myself about a year ago. I have the 4-plex, I did the refi and made sure that lender allowed the property to be switched to an LLC. Now, the big caveat is the LLC must be owned by you or the person that signed off on the mortgage. So if you signed off on the mortgage and then you put the LLC in your wife's name, no, the LLC has to be in your name. That's normally the requirement for that. So yeah, definitely a good option. Now remember, that loan is still in your name. It'll show up on your credit. But you can if you have it in an LLC and you're doing a 1065, you can still write that expense in the 1065. So you can still put the expense there and write it off and then transfer the K1 to your personal return. Hope that answers your question, Bob. And it does, because I answered the question. So, Fredos, what's up, man? He calls me like every day. Pascal, did you find a deal? I want to invest. I promise you, when I find a deal, I'll let you know. So Fredo says, do you recommend having a pup on top of homeowners insurance policy for further protection? So Fredos is asking this question because he's in the insurance game and he's actually a safety and does safety with inside of the insurance company. So obviously, get a pup. So, all right. Today's leases and insurance and pups. I'm going to tell you what a pup is. I love pups. Honestly, I found out about pup, and in my opinion, it's like the sickest, best thing you could get, and it's normally like $300, okay? So, let's do this. So, you have what's called your assets. Okay? You have your assets. You have your car, right? You have your car. You have your home. You have your stocks. You have your cash. Okay? But when you're driving your car, this is a car. When you're driving your car and you don't have good insurance, all of your money is in the trunk of your car. And when you get into a car accident, they have your money. Okay? Bye. You lost your money. Sucks, right? I see people that make $100,000 a year and they have 1020 because they went to the snake, also known as Geico. And they're like, oh, you only need 1020. You only need state minimum. What that means is you have $10,000 per person, $20,000 per accident. So if someone gets hurt, the tiniest injury is easily $25,000. What that says is, hey, Geico will pay 10 and you got to pay 15,000 out of your pocket. That's so stupid. But if you went to a good company, if you went to like Safeco or Progressive or Travelers or Allstate or State Farm, they're going to give you good coverage for a good price. You need at least, the minimum is 100, 300. I'm saying minimum. Now, if you're a real estate owner, you better have 250, 500. So 250,000 per person, 500,000 per accident. This is a whole nother scenario that I can go on for like 3 hours about liability limits and auto insurance policies and homeowners policies. Now, Fredo's is saying 300, 500. In Florida, you don't have to have 300, 500. You can have 250, 500, and it's acceptable for you to get an umbrella. You can also have a $500,000 single limit and also be acceptable for an umbrella. And depending on the carrier, you might be cheaper with a 250, 500, or you might be cheaper with a $500,000 single limit mixed with the umbrella, because the carrier will also give you the ability to get the umbrella bundle discount, which makes it cheaper. Depends on who you're talking to and which is going to be the best price. Your broker, we're also insurance brokers, will have that answer. So again, I have an insurance brokerage. I learned it. I did it with my own hands. I understand how the game's played. I also have the mortgage brokerage. I also have the accounting firm. I worked on Home Depot's taxes. I've done this shit. That's what I'm teaching you. From actually doing it, the guy on the computer crunching the numbers and figuring out scenarios to save people money and protect their assets. Now, let's get back into it. So when you're driving in your car, you have all of your cash in the back, okay? So if insurance isn't good enough, you're going to lose all your money. Now, let's just say you have good enough insurance, 250, 500 on your car. If someone gets hurt on your house, they come onto your lawn in Florida. If someone gets scared by your dog, they can sue you. Number one claim regarding animals is not bite claims. Number one claim against animals is someone scared the person, that dog scared the person walking by, gave them a traumatic experience, they can sue you and you will lose. So there's most states, you get sued, you lose. You lose one of two ways. Either you pay them money or you spend a ton of money on a lawyer to protect yourself. Now, homeowners policy should have around $300,000. Now, again, you can't really buy insurance on your stocks and your cash, but if you have enough insurance in your car and your home, it'll protect people from coming after your stocks and cash because the insurance company is going to pay them the money. The other good part about the insurance company is they're going to give you a lawyer. The money that I mentioned does not even include legal fees. Legal fees are covered 100%. And then on top of that, they're going to pay this much money for people in a claim where you're found guilty. Now, let's move forward. What a pup does. Fredos, you've been blessed. You've been blessed that he brought this up because today you're going to learn pup. It's called personal umbrella policy. You can also get a BUP, business umbrella policy, right? Or you can get a blanket policy, which means if you own a ton of rental properties, you can just get a blanket policy to cover all of them for extra coverage. So with a PUP, most people who own rental properties should have a PUP. If you're making more than $100,000 a year, you should have a PUP. PUPs normally only cost $300 a year. Now, what a PUP does, personal umbrella policy, this umbrella is here. This umbrella right here covers everything for $1 million above the $250,500 limit, above the $300,000 home limit. This umbrella policy will protect you if the $250,000 on your car isn't enough, if the $300,000 on your home is not enough. They will give you another $1 million of coverage in a claim. And they will give you protection. This is sick. My opinion, it's the best money you can buy for $300 because, in my opinion, it's like having a lawyer on retainer. What that means is you got a lawyer that you put a deposit down on, and they're in the back, and if anything happens, they're jumping up and they're repping your case for you. $300? That's not even an hour with a good lawyer. That's not even 1 hour with a good lawyer. If I have to drop $300 a year just in case I need somebody, and then if I lose, they're going to pay $1 million also. It's like the cheapest money you could buy, or cheapest protection you can buy. That was like a bad drop with a bad saying, but it's all good. You got it. You understand. I got like 1,000 messages over here on YouTube. Not literally, but okay. All right. Can I save this live? I came in late and want to see it. Guys, if you want to see the live events, they're saved on YouTube. This is not going to be saved on IG. You want to watch this? It's going to be uploaded on YouTube tomorrow at 10 a.m. Go on there. You're going to find probably 100 hours, easy 100, probably like hundreds of hours of videos of me teaching stuff. You want to learn this game, personal finance, credit, investing, tax returns, all the stuff on YouTube. It's free. Check it out. And again, if you really want to learn, you want to be fast and scale like I did from 0 units at 19 to 23 units by the age of 23, take my course. I'll teach you what you need to know. If you need help with your taxes, my accounting firm will help you. You need help with insurance, my insurance agency will help you. You need help with a mortgage, my mortgage company will help you. I'm here to help you guys. And we have an app coming. It's going to be sick. It's going to be next level stuff. I mean, I have some really big players that are part of the team, people that work with Apple, people that own security companies that work with the government. We have a lot of good things coming. So stay tuned. All right, I'm going to answer a couple more questions. Why do people say refinance will be back? Why do people say refinancing will back you another 10 years? Well, let's just say it's not 10 years. It depends on the period of time that they're getting a refinance. I'm going to make it very simple. If you own the home for 2 years and then do a refinance, you're making another 30-year loan. You push the loan back 2 more years before it's paid off. Those are the people that think I have to pay off my loan. As you guys have learned, the goal is not paying off your loan. The goal is buying a property that is undervalued or in an area that you know is going to appreciate aggressively, and that the value of this loan is going to drop with the dollars, that purchasing power dropping, and you're going to make money on the appreciation. So those people are savers. And unfortunately, I come from people that are savers. And unfortunately, those people are going to lose because savers are going to end up losing. The only people that are going to end up winning are people that are going to invest and people that use leverage to invest, because we're going to go through a hyperinflationary period in assets, and people are going to keep the amount of money they make is going to stay low. Back in the day, you could work a normal blue-collar job and live upper middle class. Today, you can't work a job for close to middle wage and be upper middle class. So that means if you don't focus on investing, you're not going to win. I try to explain it to you guys that I only made $8 to $12 an hour when I started investing. I won because I kept investing my money. That's how I won. I didn't win by making more money and trying to get a job that pays me more. That usually doesn't work because they're going to tax you like crazy. Yeah. What percent of the monthly rent can be increased in Florida, or is it fixed, say, $50 or $100? There is no limit to how much you can increase rent in Florida. Hugo says, multiple properties in California where I am in are out of reach right now. I saw a triplex for 2.1, a duplex for 1.9, a single family for 685. Be patient, they're going to drop hard. Hugo Lopez, where do you live in California? Okay. So Tina Ambition says, so I've been looking at a lot of deals recently and see a wide variety of cap rates. What is a good percentage cap rate and a bad percentage cap rate? So cap rate shouldn't really matter. I used to worry about cap rate when I first started. It doesn't matter because what you need to focus on is how much you can change the value of the property through your value adds. So I bought a property at a 0 cap. It was making no money. But by the time I was done with all my value adds, my cap rate became like 10 in a sick market where they normally sell for 5. So now I own a property at a 10 cap in an area that's worth 5. So don't worry about what you're getting it at. You should worry about what can you make it within 6 months. That's where you're finding your deals. You're making the money. You're creating that money. B in line says, I have auto insurance with your company today. Pro, I'm saving $50 a month. Con, my husband's info is wrong on the insurance name and date of birth and license. I sent an email to the person who quoted me. All right. So sorry about that. Just they'll take care of it. They'll fix all that stuff. B in line says, I'm sure they'll fix it tomorrow. Yeah, they'll take care of it. Now, it might take a day or two to update in the system because once you put a policy brand new in the system, it's fresh. So then it probably takes a day or two to regenerate, and then they're going to go change it. And then a day or two later, they're going to give you the new information. But it's still going to be okay. They're still going to cover it if anything happens. So Daniel says, I was a saver, now investing because of Pascal, and got gold and silver because of him. You know what else? I'm not telling anyone to buy it. I'm not telling anyone to do it because this is very risky, but I've started buying Chainlink, cryptocurrency, and I think it's going to be a big mover. Based off of all the things that the blockchain is supposed to do, I think it's going to be a big mover. I wouldn't put all your money in this thing. I'd put just enough that you're willing to lose, but I think it's going to be a big mover. I put it in at 10. It's already at $15, and I think it has a significant room to grow. Hugo says, I have been watching your video. Other than mortgages, I am debt free and credit score is over 800. Getting my stuff ready for the deals coming. That's really good. I don't encourage paying off mortgages. I think it's a bad return on investment. By paying off your mortgage, what are you saving? 3%, 4%, 2%? It's better for you to get the most out of your deal. I do cash out refinances, take my cash back, and then use that money to buy more deals, because that asset's I can use that money and buy another asset that is gonna appreciate aggressively if I buy the right one and make a ton of money. The loans won't even matter. One of my mentors, he started buying properties in the 80s. He bought houses for like 20,000, 30,000. I had one of my kids, not a kid, he's like 25. I had one of my guys come to this meeting with one of my mentors, and he's like, oh man, that guy's so lucky. I said, no, you're lucky. He's like, no, he's lucky. He bought homes for 20,000, 30,000. For me, it's like 200, 300,000. I was like, bro, a home right now, 200, 300,000 today, in 40 years is going to be more than $2 million, $3 million. You have the same opportunity he has. Buy the houses at 200, buy it at 300. It's going to be worth 2 million, 3 million. You can't think of it as like, woe is me. Those people never find ways to win. You need to find a way to win. Don't find the problems. Find solutions to problems. There is people out there that find a problem for every solution. So guys, it was great working with you guys again. If you need more help, you want to aggressively grow, get ready to buy all those deals, and not just buy one deal, but maybe buy 5 deals while the market's down. My course, link is in the bio. It's Foundations of Personal Finance. It's not a foundational course alone. It will take you, just like it took me, from 19 having no units to 23 having 23 units. And I did it in a very conservative way. So you guys can feel free to copy my structure and you'll be able to do the same thing. I have a video on YouTube. It basically shows you how I took $30,000 and rolled it into 23 units in that 3.5 year period. So it's about 17 minutes. Go check it out. It's really eye-opening, I learned a lot from seeing other people or talking to other people that actually did it, and I was just blown away, and I'm like, wow. And they're like, look, I did it, you can do it. And that motivated me to keep moving, got a lot of mentors, and was able to perfect this process that I have today. So guys, it was great seeing everybody. If you need help with your mortgage refinances, I'm happy to help. Rates are great right now. Need help with your taxes or insurance, more than happy to help. God bless. Stay safe. And I'll see you guys next time.